What's happening, guys? I got some good stuff for you this morning. I had a little bit of a headache trying to get my mic to work, but if you'll hold tight for me, guys, we got some good stuff getting ready to roll. Okay, hold on just a second here. Hi guys, how y'all doing this morning? Hopefully you can hear me. I got something real quick to run for you. It is the first introductory teaser chapter for Burrfoot, a Dragonlance Tale. Okay, I'm a little mumble mouth. My mouth is dry and I've had a real rough morning. I screamed at the top of my lungs because the cat had disconnected the damn mic and it took forever to get the stuff set back where I needed and wanted it. That is. No, the kitty's just fine. She's just upstairs being a menace as usual. Okay, without further ado, guys, let me go ahead and get on here and roll this for you. This is called Burrfoot, a Dragonlance Tale. Chris, this is for you. Adam, like I said, if Margaret and Tracy happen to see this and they're intrigued by the idea, let me know. Okay? All right, I'm going to run it. Here goes. All right, bear with me for just a second here, guys. Okay, we're going to pull up. Okay, I hope this is the one. Okay, good deal. Go here. Is that? Yep, that's the one I edited last night. Okay, hold tight, guys. All right, we got this. Ta-da! Oh, yeah, babies. All right, guys. I'm going to run the audio here in just a second. All right? All right, bear with me just a second here, guys.
Burrfoot, a Dragonlance Tale. Kaelin and Vorlo ducked as the large Agothian bumble irritably made a pass at them and then attempted to climb back into the cluster of giant marigolds and snapdragons still brimming with pollen. "We've got to get him out of there," Kaelin stammered. "I turn my back for 2 seconds. You finally show up to see your child and..." Kaelin scowled in embarrassment, as high above them amongst the buzzing of the irritated Agothian bumblebee, a child's giggling could be heard like an echo like that from inside a tuba. It took a second for both of them to realize that the little Kender has somehow either climbed up into the flower and gotten stuck, or deposited there after hitching a ride to the giant bee. Not so much as in distress of being stuck, because the child kept saying how good it smelled inside the flower, and there was water in there since it rained, but the giant bumble is none too happy to see me in here and the sides are slick. "So that's where you've left him? Oh dear, okay, let me distract this thing with my hoopak, and meanwhile you climb up and yank on that petal there." "Bullshit, Vorlo. That's an Agothian bumble, you don't go smacking them with hoopaks, they are mostly harmless." Normally. The Kendermaid couldn't hear what he was saying due to the indignant incessant buzzing of the bumble that had been interrupted in its pollen-collecting ritual. Kaelin thought of shaking the stem of the flower, but that only brought a torrent of water mixed with pollen. Kaelin cursed and covered his hands to protect from the spines as he climbed up the trunk of the flower just enough to reach the lowest petal and yank on it, almost falling off in the process. "Hold tight," Kalin panicked as he watched the giant bumble attempting to climb back into the flower, finding something was impeding its progress of clearing the pistil and stamen of pollen. Giant bumbles could only sting if provoked, but really their immense size alone made them dangerous. Things in Urgoth try to pick you up and fly off, either carrying you away as prey, or dropping you several hundred or 1,000 feet to your death. Volo adjusted the catgut loop of her hoopak, removing a small slip of cloth covering the hole in the hoopak, which enables the sound to be heard. It is known in Hilo that a well-made hoopak can be leaned somewhere, and if a breeze can reach its ports and just like a wind chime the hoopak will hum, whistle, or even sound like a lonely wail of a crying child or cooing bird. Kender graveyards have a custom of someone leaving a woodwind, or even a hoopak somewhere on the grave if it's possible during holidays, when they visit deceased relatives that were lucky enough to be buried or died of old age. The eerie sound of chimes and whistles of the winds among the headstones of the dead is in pre-cataclysm Agothian, as well as plainsman tradition, as they believe that what is left of their ancestors speak to them in this way. This is the only time that you can ever hear Kender truly be quiet or reverent, because in their belief they listen to the chimes and hums from the elders who have passed on. Sometimes it takes a while for them to get an adequate answer. Sometimes, as an added effect, Kenders will whirl their hoopaks in tandem, or sync to produce a high or low-pitched bull roar effect many times more effective than a single Kender using the hoopak to do the same thing. This echoing has been known to induce disorientation among any non-Kender caught in this droning ritual. The practice lead to many Kender carrying whistles and toys made specifically for this purpose. Kender woodwinds, fiddles, and kettle drums are highly sought as entertainment, as believe it or not Kender are effective at making music literally anywhere. This can either be used to lure or deter outsiders, as nothing is more irritating than the pissed-off bass squeal of a Kender-made bleater horn, that when it's blown on sounds like a kazoo blown at a bad high-pitched note. It's hard to describe the irritation at the decibel of which a Kender whistle produces with just a short puff of breath. The sound is enough to deter even large intruders. Go on, Buzzy. Shoo. Go make some honey. Back to the hive. Volo shouted over the whine of the hoopak's bull roar. From inside the flower once again came a small voice. Wow. Whomever is out here, I can hear you. Say I hear the bumble coming back to get water, and it ain't too happy I'm taking a bath in here. I hitched a ride to get here, you know. The child continued to chatter, as the giant bee hovered and a Kender child voice echoed from somewhere inside the giant flower. The bumble stopped flapping its wings long enough for the pollen and dust to settle enough for Kalin to approach the flower to try to get him out. Volo stuck a small whistle to her lips as well as twirling the hoopak, between the droning of the bee's wings. All the excess dust and pollen being kicked up around them, Kalin barely had enough sight to climb to the base of the giant flower and hook himself to grab one of the large petals. Volo blew on her whistle ever harder, as the belligerent bumble stumbled back out of the flower this time, with a wide-eyed something covered in pollen, honey, and rainwater from being inside a giant flower. The irritated bumble attempting to lift it out of the flower, if only to stop it from holding onto its fur. Kalin held on for dear life several feet off the ground onto the side of the petal as the pollen-fuzzed form of a Kender child came tumbling with a splash of rainwater down the side of the petal, bouncing his little behind off the top of Kalin's head in a failed attempt to catch him, rendering Kalin to seeing stars. As the giggling Kender tumbled the rest of the way off the side of the giant flower like a water slide onto the pollen-covered grown below. He landed with a soft plop into the waiting arms of Volo, who caught him just in time. Volo sneezed. The bundle of pollen, hair, and honey blinked back and up at her with a set of brown eyes just like hers. It also sneezed and attempted to ring out, was an exceptionally long topknot for a Kender child in Urgoth of that age. Hello, I'm Tasselhoff Burrfoot. Are you my mother? I most certainly am. I'm your mother, Vorlo, yes. I see you have chosen a name for yourself, my son. Vorlo brushed some of the hair away from his eyes. He's gotten big. What have you been feeding him? My son, your hair is so long. I can barely see the tops of your pointed ears. Oh yes, indeed, I am your mother. Just like me, you have the penchant for mischief and fun. I see you've grown so much. That Bumble carted you off from the tunnel, and let me tell you it's been a hell of a morning for me as well, ogres and witches, but with a slight detour, to catch up with my son. Now then. What about this name? You picked for yourself again. Tasselhoff, Kalin gasped and lay on the ground as he watched the Agothian Bumble fly away angrily towards the Sentinel Mountains. The Agothians, the Knights of Salamnia, took pride in their horses. Asterisk, the Agothian tassel seen atop Lord Sotha's helmet is an example. Tasselhoff, it's Agothian slang for horse tail, fringe head, horse's ass. Kalin held his sides painfully, as he wasn't sure he might have broken something in his fall. He looked over at Vorlo, who was too awestruck, having been reunited with her baby, to say anything else. He chose Burrfoot, because, well, Vorlo, since you've been gone a while, I did what Squire Markhand and Gunther said for me to do, and raised him the best I could as my own. You gave me the name Burrfoot back on San Crist, and now I'm using it. You did an impeccable job. Vorlo beamed. Both of you. I am so happy to be reunited with both you. Come on, let's go get this little squirt cleaned off, and some supper in his belly. My name is Tars. The Kender child added. I say Tars when I don't want to say Tasselhoff, because if you're not from Urgith you speak common. By the way, I've learned to read maps, and I've got a map at home you want to see, because it has this place called Solace and Haven, and me and Burrfoot are going to go there to see the plainsmen soon. Do you want to come with us? That would be good, because we need one more person to come along. Vorlo attended to Kalin lying on the ground holding his ribs in agony after having fallen, and with her pollen-stained son under one elbow clinging to her, and chattering away excitedly, knelt down and placed a kiss right on Kalin's mouth in gratitude. She shook the pollen from her hand and handed little grubby Tars to Kalin to hold up, while she brushed the pollen off the both of them. It was almost unheard of for a Kendermaid to kiss a human man. There would never be a couple, notwithstanding the fact she was a few decades older than him. Even as a Kender, he would never be her husband, but he could still certainly be a father for Tasselhoff. You did as you promised. Vorlo started to choke up. You kept him safe. Just like when we found you in Zacht Saroth all those years ago. Where is Zacht Saroth? Little Tars asked. Can we go visit there someday? My son, we are Kenderkin. We can and do go wherever we want. Vorlo beamed. Of course we will go there again, maybe, someday, if fate and our own 2 feet happen to take us there. Dunno about Zacht Saroth, but Solace has some damn good spiced potatoes at an inn near there called the Inn of Dash. The Inn of the Last Home, Vorlo smiled. I was pregnant with this little guy when a section of it was being built on. He was up in the trees with me and he wasn't even born yet. Vorlo remembered the memory of the stillborn child in her belly kicking as the smell of the Valen woods in autumn and memories came flooding back. Even though it had been nearly 4 years, tears started to well up in the Kendermaid's eyes out of joy that she had indeed found her son again.
Alright guys, what you think? We'll be right back. That's the intro for Burrfoot, a Dragonlance Tale. It's just a sample chapter. Alright guys, if you have any questions, email me. Margaret Weiss, Tracy Hickman, anybody that's with Dragonlance. If it intrigues you enough, get a hold of me. If not, it will remain as my private OGL project, one of the two. It's not a big deal. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Whoever tunes into my streams, like I said, my health has been up and down, but I definitely appreciate it. All right, guys, we'll be back in a minute. Okay, I guess they can hear me. All right. All right, guys, I wanted to get on and run that for you just as a little teaser treat. I'm still in the process of reading through Dragons of Eternity. Like I said, it's slow going. It's a little bit to get my head around, but as it says, hey, it's all right. Once again, I want to thank Margaret Weiss for the impeccable shipping on that, if I didn't already before. But guys, if you're interested, get a hold of me. I'm gonna start trying to get set up to where I can start playing some Dragonlance. I may set it up to where I'll have a camera toward the table and people can talk and chat, and we'll do it like one player, or something. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Right now, I've got an older computer, so I don't have everything to be able to interface as I used to. I'm gonna have to definitely get some better stuff if I'm gonna interface with somebody else's computer. Um, just the way it is. All right, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll holler at you a little bit later. This has been Engine Joe. Y'all roll on.